Most people think their life is shaped by the big choices, the career move, the relationship decision, the business idea, the moment they finally decide to change. But Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit reveals something more uncomfortable and more empowering. A huge part of your life is not shaped by conscious decisions at all. It is shaped by habits, the way you wake up, the way you check your phone, the snack you reach for when you feel stressed, the route you take to work, the way you react when someone criticizes you, the way you spend money, the way you procrastinate, the way you escape discomfort. At first, these actions seem small, almost invisible, but repeated over time, they quietly become your health, your focus, your relationships, your money, your identity, and your future. That is the central message of the power of habit. If you understand how habits work, you can understand how change works. And once you understand that, your life stops feeling like a mystery. You begin to see that bad habits are not moral failures. Good habits are not magic. Both are built from the same loop. The difference is whether you know how to redesign that loop, or whether you are letting it run you on autopilot. Why your brain creates habits. Your brain loves habits because habits save energy. Imagine if you had to consciously think through every tiny action: brushing your teeth, tying your shoes, opening your laptop, driving a familiar route, making coffee, checking messages. Your brain would be exhausted before breakfast. So when your brain notices a repeated pattern that leads to a reward, it stores that pattern and makes it automatic. This is efficient. But it is also dangerous, because your brain does not always care whether the habit is good for you in the long term. It mostly cares whether the habit gives you a reward right now. That means the same system that helps you build a morning workout routine can also keep you stuck in late-night scrolling, stress eating, smoking, impulsive shopping, or procrastination. Your brain is not trying to ruin your life. It is trying to save effort. But if you do not guide it, it may automate behaviors that quietly pull you away from the person you want to become. The habit loop. Cue, routine, reward. Duhigg explains that every habit follows a simple three-part loop. 1. The cue. The cue is the trigger. It tells your brain, start this behavior now. A cue can be a time of day, a location, an emotion, a person, a sound, a smell, or something you just did. For example, you feel bored, so you open social media. You smell coffee, so you crave caffeine. You sit at your desk, so you check email. You feel stressed, so you reach for a snack. The cue is the doorway into the habit. 2. The routine. The routine is the behavior itself. This is the part most people notice. Eating the cookie, checking the phone, going for a run, biting nails, watching Netflix, writing in a journal, taking a walk. When people say, I want to change my habit, they usually mean they want to change the routine. But the routine is only the middle of the loop. 3. The reward. The reward is what your brain gets from the behavior. It might be pleasure, relief, distraction, energy, comfort, connection, pride, or a sense of control. The reward teaches your brain whether the habit is worth remembering. If the reward feels good enough, the brain says, nice, let's save this pattern for next time. Over time, this loop becomes automatic. Cue, routine, reward, cue, routine, reward, cue, routine, reward. And eventually, you do not feel like you are choosing anymore. You just do it. Craving is what makes habits powerful. The habit loop becomes truly powerful when craving enters the system. At first, a cue simply triggers a routine. But after enough repetition, the brain begins to anticipate the reward before it arrives. That anticipation becomes craving. You do not just see the cue, you start wanting the reward. That is why habits can feel so hard to resist. You are not only fighting the action, you are fighting the expectation your brain has built around the reward. For example, maybe every afternoon around 3:30, you walk to the cafeteria and buy a cookie. At first, it may seem like you just enjoy cookies. But the real craving may not be sugar. It might be a break from work. It might be a short walk. It might be social time with coworkers. It might be relief from boredom. It might be a feeling of comfort during the afternoon slump. The routine is eating the cookie, but the reward may be something else entirely. And this is where most people fail when trying to change. They attack the routine without understanding the craving. They say, "I'll stop eating cookies." But they never ask, what reward was the cookie giving me? So when the cue appears and the craving rises, willpower gets overwhelmed. The habit returns. Not because you are weak, because your brain is still waiting for the reward. The golden rule of habit change. Here is one of the most important ideas in the book. You usually cannot erase a habit, but you can replace the routine. Duhigg calls this the golden rule of habit change. Keep the same cue, keep the same reward, change the routine. This is powerful because it works with the brain instead of fighting it. If your brain already has a loop, you do not need to destroy the whole system. You need to redesign the middle. For example, if stress is the cue and relief is the reward, eating junk food may be the current routine, but another routine might provide the same reward. Taking a short walk, calling a friend, doing breathing exercises, writing down the worry, making tea, stretching for 2 minutes. The cue stays the same. Stress. The reward stays the same. Relief. But the routine changes. That is the heart of habit transformation. The goal is not to become a perfect person who never feels cravings. The goal is to become skilled at giving your brain a better path to the reward it already wants. Very calm, very strategic, very lazy capybara. Why just stop usually fails. Many people try to break bad habits with brute force. They say, "I'll just stop. No more phone at night. No more sugar. No more procrastination. No more spending. No more smoking." But just stop is usually a weak strategy because it leaves a vacuum. The cue still appears. The craving still rises. The reward is still desired. But now there is no routine to satisfy it. That creates tension. And under enough stress, the old routine comes back because the brain already knows it works. This is why Duhigg's approach is more practical. He does not say, destroy the old habit. He says, study it. Treat your habit like a detective case. What triggers it? What reward are you actually craving? What routine could deliver a similar reward in a healthier way? This turns habit change from a battle of willpower into a process of design, the 4-step framework for changing a habit. Duhigg offers a practical framework for reshaping habits. It is simple, but it requires honesty and experimentation. Step 1. Identify the routine. Start with the behavior you want to change. This is usually the easiest part because the routine is visible. Maybe your routine is checking your phone first thing in the morning, eating sweets in the afternoon, avoiding important work, snapping at people when stressed, watching videos late at night, buying things when you feel bored, scrolling instead of sleeping. Do not judge it yet, just name it. The first step is not shame. The first step is clarity. Say, this is the routine I want to redesign. Step 2. Experiment with rewards. This is where the real work begins. Most people assume they know why they do something, but often they are wrong. You may think you want a cookie because you are hungry, but maybe you want a break. You may think you want social media because you like the app, but maybe you want connection. You may think you procrastinate because you are lazy, but maybe you want relief from anxiety. So experiment. When the urge appears, try different replacement routines and see which one satisfies the craving. If you usually snack, try drinking water. If that does not work, try taking a walk. If that does not work, try chatting with someone. If that does not work, try eating something healthier. After each experiment, write down how you feel. Did the craving disappear? Did it stay? Did it come back quickly? This helps reveal the real reward. The goal is to discover what your brain is actually asking for, not what you assume it wants. Step 3. Isolate the cue. Once you know the routine and reward, you need to find the cue. Duhigg explains that most cues fall into 5 categories: location time, emotional state, other people, the action immediately before the habit. So when the urge appears, write down what is happening. Where are you? What time is it? How do you feel? Who is around? What did you just do? After a few days, patterns usually appear. Maybe your snack craving always happens at 3:30 p.m. Maybe your phone habit happens when you sit on the couch. Maybe your procrastination appears after opening a difficult project. Maybe your spending habit happens when you feel lonely. Maybe your anger habit appears when you feel disrespected. Once you identify the cue, the habit becomes less mysterious. You can see the trigger before the loop takes over. That awareness gives you a moment of choice. Step 4. Make a plan. The final step is to create a specific plan, not a vague promise. A clear, written plan. For example, at 3:30 p.m., when I feel the afternoon slump, I will walk to a coworker's desk and chat for 10 minutes instead of buying a cookie. Or, when I sit on the couch after dinner, I will put my phone across the room and read one page. Or, when I feel stressed and want to snack, I will make tea and take 5 slow breaths first. A plan matters because habits are automatic. When the cue appears, you do not want to debate with yourself. You want the replacement routine already decided. The formula is, when this cue happens, I will do this routine, because it gives me this reward. That is habit redesign in one sentence. Belief, the missing ingredient in lasting change. Duhigg also explains that habit replacement can work beautifully until life becomes extremely stressful. When things are calm, a new routine may be easy to follow. But when life hits hard, people often fall back into old habits. This is why belief matters. Belief does not have to mean religion, although for some people it does. It can mean belief in a group, belief in a process, belief in a future version of yourself, or belief that change is possible because other people have changed too. This is why communities can be so powerful. Groups create support when willpower is weak. They remind you that you are not alone. They help you keep going when stress makes the old habit look attractive again. This is one reason programs like Alcoholics Anonymous emphasize community and belief. The point is not only the routine, it is the feeling that change is possible because you are supported by something larger than your private struggle. The practical takeaway is simple. If you want a habit to last, do not rely only on private willpower. Build support around it. Tell a friend. Join a group. Track progress publicly. Find an accountability partner. Surround yourself with people who believe change is possible. Sometimes the difference between relapse and resilience is not more discipline. It is not being alone when discipline gets tired. Habits are not destiny. One of the most hopeful ideas in the power of habit is that habits can feel automatic without being permanent. Your habits may be deeply wired, but they are not your destiny. The moment you understand the loop, you can begin to change it. You stop saying, "This is just who I am," and you start saying, "This is a cue, routine, and reward pattern." That shift is huge, because "this is who I am" feels fixed. But "this is a pattern" can be studied, and what can be studied can be redesigned. This is the book's quiet superpower. It gives language to behaviors that once felt confusing. You start seeing the hidden architecture behind your actions. You notice the cue. You feel the craving. You question the reward. You choose a new routine. You repeat. And slowly, the loop changes. How to use this book today. Here is a simple way to apply the power of habit immediately. Choose one habit. Only one. Do not try to change your entire life this week. Pick one behavior that, if changed, would make your life noticeably better. Then write down. 1. The routine. What exactly do you do? Be specific. Not, "I waste time." Say, "I scroll YouTube for 45 minutes after dinner." Not, "I eat badly." Say, "I buy a sugary snack every afternoon." 2. The possible reward. Ask, what am I really getting from this? Relief? Comfort? Connection? Energy? Distraction? A sense of control? A break from pressure? Test different options. Do not assume. Experiment. 3. The cue. For several days, write down, where am I? What time is it? How do I feel? Who is around? What just happened? Look for the pattern. 4. The replacement routine. Design. A new behavior that gives a similar reward. Make it easy enough to do when the cue appears. If your reward is social connection, replace snacking with a short conversation. If your reward is relief, replace scrolling with a walk. If your reward is energy, replace sugar with water, movement, or a better snack. If your reward is comfort, replace the old routine with a healthier ritual. 5. The plan. Write it clearly. When cue happens, I will new routine, because it gives me reward. Then practice. Not perfectly, just repeatedly. Habit change is not about one heroic decision. It is about many small moments of choosing the new loop. Final thoughts. Change the loop, change the life. The Power of Habit is one of the most useful self-improvement books because it does not treat change like magic. It treats change like a system, and that is good news. Because if your habits are systems, you can study them. If you can study them, you can change them. If you can change one loop, you can change another. And if you change enough loops, your life begins to move in a new direction. The book's biggest lesson is simple. You do not rise to the level of your wishes. You often fall into the shape of your habits. So stop only asking, what do I want? Start asking, what cues are shaping my day? What routines are running automatically? What rewards am I actually craving? What new routine could give me the same reward in a better way? This is how change becomes practical. Not dramatic, not overnight, not perfect. Practical. One cue noticed. One routine replaced. One reward understood. One plan repeated. So, here is the Lazy Capybara takeaway. Your habits are not your enemy. They are your brain trying to help you survive on autopilot. But you are allowed to update the autopilot. You are allowed to rewrite the loop. You are allowed to become the kind of person whose default actions support the life they actually want. Start with one habit today. Find the cue. Understand the reward. Change the routine. And repeat until the new path feels natural. If this summary helped you understand your habits more clearly, save it, share it with someone trying to change, and subscribe to the Lazy Capybaras for more calm, practical book summaries that help you build a better life, one habit loop at a time.